So I would say back in, it must have been around April, I booked a consultation with a woman, and she sits at the intersection between branding and business, and personal branding especially. And I wanted some advice about a specific question. So she was quite expensive, and I was like, right, I've never really booked this sort of thing before, but I've read her book. I really think this is like very credible, and very big following, and reviews on all the other consultations are really positive that I looked into. And I was like, fine, it's a short question that I have. I'm going to pay $250 for 15 minutes.
That's not quite expensive. Sorry. That's ludicrously expensive. That's $1,000 an hour.
Right. And I'd also say that I'd emailed this person before and I never got a response, which had made me think, which was quite a long time before, which made me think like, okay, fair enough. If they want to answer the question, they're going to make me pay for it, which I thought was fine. And I had the babysitter come, and about 5 minutes before I got a notification that they cancelled. And I was like, okay, a little bit disappointing. And I could see there was like an option to reschedule. And I was like, no problem, I'm going to book. And I booked like rescheduled it for a few hours later. Okay, babysitter could still help out, no problem. And that was kind of the end of it. I got on the call a few hours later. I was lucky that there was still like a slot available for that day. Mm-hmm. And we just started the call. And I assumed like, obviously this person's going to apologize. Like, sorry, I rescheduled the previous one 5 minutes before. Nothing. Hi, Avital, how can I help you today? So I was like, fine. And I kind of outlined the question that I had, and they really just went like on for 10 minutes talking about themselves. And I was like looking at the clock, and I was like, is this for real? Like, how come, the consultation's practically done. Like, I haven't been able to kind of say anything except for my original question, which they're not really even answering. Anyway, a pop-up kind of appears on the platform. The platform is called Intro, where this person was on. And it says, do you want to pay another $150 for 15 minutes? And I write, no. And then they said, oh, I see you've got a few minutes left. Can I look at your website? And I was like, actually, I gave you my website before, in the questions, before, like I was asked before I signed up. You asked my website, you asked who I was, you asked for a bio about me. I gave all of this material. Surely you've read it. So they hadn't. And they're like, okay. And they looked at the about me on my website page. They were like, well, I'm not seeing enough magic. Like, you could make yourself seem, a little bit more like, how do you really help people? What's your superpower? And I was like, you know what? Decent thing to say, but this isn't my question. And B, like, that's very generic. Mm-hmm. Like, anyone could have told me that, like, maybe it needs to focus a little bit more on my superpower. That's not why I'm like, come to you. Anyway, and basically they quickly wrapped up the call, because obviously that you have a clock ticking, which tells you that the consultation is like timing out. And they essentially they just said to me, thanks so much for your time. Please leave me a review. And that was the end of it.